Hey folks, it's not often you get a second bite of the cherry at the same sort of bargain point, but a few weeks ago now I did a video on an entry-level Stretton Payne guitar, and that was a sunburst guitar. And I found another one very, very similarly priced that needed some work, and this is an SPD1N, N for natural. These are Chinese made. I never saw these in the States when I lived in the States, but I've had quite a few of them. I've seen quite a few of them rather since coming to the UK. So they're much more common in these parts. Very, very basic materials. You have a wood ply top, what probably is a sticker or a decal rosette there. It does seem to have a rosewood board, which is good, and a rosewood bridge with bridge pins, probably plastic saddle and nut, I would imagine. A reasonable headstock, very simple headstock shape with logo and design there. Not too garish. Some of them get, a little bit to be desired, don't they? What looks to be very cheap tuners with a hexagonal backs to them. I've seen these a lot. It stays in tune, but they're not the greatest ratio. Cream binding throughout, and a very sort of bright natural finish. It doesn't have like any of the amber tones. It's quite bright, and doesn't look to be the best cut of spruce either. Very sort of uneven, almost wavy grain on this guitar. So obviously very, very cheap materials. This is their entry level. They do make guitars up into the thousands as well as these entry level ones. These are the ones you tend to see the most. But it is, it is a competently put together guitar. The strings on these are pretty poor. They're sort of phosphor bronze looking strings, but they're not, obviously not D'Addario or anything equivalent to that, so that could be improved. Always, well, I say always, I've done 2 of these so far, and it's the same situation on both of them. Firstly, sharp fret ends. Not all of them, just here and there you feel a burr on the fret ends. Easily taken care of. There's lots of videos that show you how to do that online. Many good luthiers on YouTube that can give you a tutorial on that. That's pretty easy to take care of. Another thing that I always find on these types of guitars, and particularly on these 2 Stretton Payne guitars, is that they come with the action and the relief in the neck not quite right. Now that could be because they've been sitting around. That could be because someone's tried to set them up and put them out of whack. This one here was over tightened, so the strings were sitting flat on the fretboard, and it was sort of banana the other way than what you normally get. So it's humped in the middle. It's straightened out, and it sounds fine with a little bit of lemon oil on the fretboard, taking care of those fret ends. The nut was high, so regrooving or correcting the nut slots, and then altering the thickness of the saddle after you've taken care of the relief setting. Half an hour's work, and you've got a reasonable guitar. Now I reckon this guitar was probably returned because the person that bought it couldn't correct it and cranked the truss rod too hard and tried to straighten the guitar, and whooped it backwards so that the strings were just buzzing everywhere on the guitar, and it was probably returned and sold as an as-is guitar, which I often take advantage of on various platforms, because most of the time, not always, but most of the time, they're pretty easy to remedy if you have a little bit of setup skill, which is something that I preach on this channel for everyone. But anyway, this is a second go around on these Stretton Paynes. Another thing that I like about these is that they come with a reasonable, not great, but reasonable gig bag, something anyway to put the guitar in, picks, extra strings, strap, tuner, you know, the whole business. Not the greatest quality. Obviously, everything is sourced in China. You could get better, but for a person buying guitar for the first time, it's nice to have those kinds of accessories, even if they are not the best. Just to have, you know, some way to hang the guitar on you, a pick to play it with, that kind of thing. And then if somebody gets proficient on the guitar, they learn as they go, and then they'll figure out that there's better quality things they can replace those things with. But it's nice to have accessories in a gig bag with a guitar, particularly a guitar that you pay less than 100 for, or around 100 for. So yeah, another Stretton Payne guitar. This is a Dreadnought model. I'd like to look at some of their you know, upper models, and see how the quality improves with subsequent price ranges. I can tell that this one is pretty much bottom of the barrel. It's not terrible, but there are many telltale signs that it is cheap and cheaply put together. First thing I noticed right away, just looking inside the guitar right now, is wood selection. I can just see that this is probably the offcuts on the shop floor. They probably use the best wood for the better models, and what's left over gets put on these entry-level ones. And then also the parts. The bridge is actually quite nice on this. It's probably the nicest part on it, and the fact that it's bound is interesting as well, because a lot of very cheap guitars don't have neck binding, although it's probably the cheapest material possible. The tuners, the strings, and even the frets are obviously, you know, budget quality, but you can make a playable guitar out of these, and this is set up now better than the guitar I first learned on many years ago. So there's really no excuse these days. You can make good playing guitars. There are many budget options, this just being one, particularly in the UK. But I thought I'd show this just because it's nice to get a couple of examples from a manufacturer to see if they are consistent, or if you got a one-off, whether it's good or bad. It's always nice to have a follow-up. So this is the second one of these. I got the full what do you call it, package with the gig bag and parts. It's about the same amount of work, and it sounds about the same as the Sunburst one, and you know, pretty competent budget guitar. So there you go, the Stretton Payne. This is the natural Dreadnought entry level, the SPN. Gosh, I wish I'd SPD, sorry, and guitar. All right, folks. See you on the next one.